Okay, welcome back to the Master Chief's barn, everybody. This is the Master Chief. Gonna do a quick video here and show you what we've done on the CJ2A frame so far. We talked before about what we're gonna take off and cut off and weld and all of that kind of stuff. And as you see here, I've removed the back bumper back here, taken that off. Took off the plate that was welded onto those body mounts over there. We removed the battery splash guard that was mounted down here. That was gone. Still have to take off the battery tray right here. Got to take that off yet. And remove the front bumper off. As you can see there, the end of the frame rails. This frame rail looks pretty good. This one here, it's beat up. And from what I can tell, whoever had this at some point, they smacked it pretty good on something, a big rock or a tree. Front bumper was twisted. And as you can see here, this frame rail's twisted and it's ripped. That's a rivet supposed to go through there. So the front bumper was riveted on. There's a hole here. There's one in the front here, and then there's two holes on the bottom on each front frame rail that was riveted. The back bumper was welded on. And as you can see, looking around here, this front cross member, this piece of steel that's all ripped and twisted, that's actually the front of the battery tray. It comes out like this and it welds onto the cross member. But if you look real close, there's a rip in the frame right there. And if you look even closer, this piece of metal that I'm pointing there, that's welded to the cross member. That's the same shape as that missing rip there. So it's like a puzzle piece. That's where it's supposed to be. So when they hit the front of this, it ripped out that too. And back down in here, the welds are ripped. So I checked the frame with my little measuring stick here. And this frame is actually from the rear end to all the way to the front. It's 29.25 inches overall, outside to outside dimension. So it's that dimension from the back of frame rail all the way up. It stays consistent all the way up here, just to in front of the battery box, battery tray. Right here, it starts to move out. This frame rail starts to come out this way a half an inch. So this point up here, from that point to the outside of that frame rail, is 29.75. The rest of the frame rails are 29.25 overall outside to outside dimension. So from this point here to this point here, this front frame rail piece drifted over half an inch, which isn't too bad because I can cut all this clean, re-weld it, put a pipe clamp from side to side and pull that back in a half an inch. Plus, I'm not worried about the other frame rail over there being mangled up, because as of this point here, from here in front of this radiator mount all the way out here, I'm cutting this off. I'm going to cut it across here. This is a CJ2A mount for a bumper, and the 42 to 45 MB front frame rails are different. So they take the gusset plate mounts for the 45 for the MB bumper. And if you remember, I said I'm going to turn this into a 45 MB style body. So I'm going to cut this. They sell just the front end pieces to these frames, but I'm going to cut this piece off and butt weld on the 45s MB style. So that's why I'm not too worried about this junk here, because this will all go away when I cut it. Now, real quick, like I said, on the back side, the bumper was welded, and on the front, it was riveted. So there's a couple different ways you can take that stuff off. One is good old oxyacetylene cutting torch, or just a right angle hand grinder cutting wheel like this here, and that's what I did. So the one thing I want to talk about here on these is I'm big into safety. Do things the safe way, the right way, and use the right tools, the right PP&E, whatever. This is what I used. It worked just fine. Used a cutting wheel. And there's what's left of one of the cutting wheels I used yesterday. Real quick, when you guys are using these things, this guard on here, don't take those off. This guard is adjustable. You can swivel it however you need to, but it's just held on there with that bracket and those two screws. But a lot of times, guys in the shops, they'll take those guards off and they put them in a drawer somewhere in a shop. Next thing you know, they've lost them. And now they're running an angle grinder without a guard. Don't take them off. Leave them on there. Adjust them if you need to, but don't take them off. They're there for a reason. They're not there because they're cool and Gucci looking. They're there to protect you, the operator. I can't tell you how many times I've seen or heard people using these, and the guard's not on there, or for whatever reason, another reason that these cutting wheels shatter, and next thing you know, they're digging this stuff out of your face or your head, your brain, your stomach, whatever. These things, these cutting wheels and these grinding discs, they will kill you. So don't modify your tool at all. Leave the guard on, use it properly. So the other thing I want to talk about on these is using the right wheels on them. So all of these grinders, whether it's a hand grinder, a bench grinder, whatever, they're rated at certain RPMs, okay? So sometimes when you look at these, you see these tags. This one doesn't have it, but sometimes they have the RPM rating on those tags. If it's not on there, look at the manual, refer to the manual, get online, look up that model number, make sure that you know what the RPMs are for that tool that you're using. Because if you buy the wrong disc or cutting wheel, you see this one here is rated at 13,300 RPMs. If you buy the wrong one, you could end up killing yourself or hurting yourself. This angle grinder is rated at about, I think it's 11,000 RPMs. So this being 13.3, this is fine. All of these discs and these cutting wheels that I'm using here, they're rated at 13 to 14,000. So what does that mean? That means is this tool is 11,000 RPMs, if your disc or your cutting wheels do not equal or greater match that tool, don't use it. If you're using it, like this is a sanding disc, but let's say this is a cutting disc, or a cutting wheel or a grinding disc, and it's rated for 9,000 RPMs, and that's 11. Don't use it, because what will happen, the material will start to degrade and fragment and blow apart, and you don't want to do that, because then it's going to end up in your face or your head or whatever, okay? Personally, I have seen one of my contractors that I'd worked with a few years ago was using a hand grinder, angle grinder like this, a cutoff wheel like this,